Hello everybody, my name is Zool and welcome to my tutorial on how to run Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic in widescreen resolution. Before we begin with the tutorial proper, we're going to need to do a couple of things. First off, determine which version of the game you have. There's several different versions of the game, including the retail version, which is installed via CDs, the Good Old Games version, and the Steam version. Once you've figured out which version of the game you have and where you've installed the files, make sure you launch the game at least once. The very first thing we need to do is find and open the folder that contains our SW Kotor exe. In my case, since I'm using the Steam version, that's Steam, Steam Apps, Common, SW Kotor. Inside this folder, you should see a couple of things, including swconfig.exe and swkotor.exe. Now, if it doesn't say .exe at the end, it just says swconfig and swkotor, don't worry, you're in the right place. You just need to turn on extensions for known file types. There is a link in the description to a video that will show you how to do that. Now that we're here, we're going to need to do a couple of things. The very first thing we need to do is launch the swconfig.exe. Once your config has been opened, the next thing you're going to need to do is ensure that your settings match what you see on my screen right here. The two most important things to have set up are to make sure there's a check mark next to enable hardware mouse. If you don't do this, your mouse is basically not going to work once we do the fix. You're also going to want to make sure that VSync is selected. Even if you don't normally use VSync, just trust me on this, this is going to save you a lot of headaches later on. Once you have those two options checked off, the rest of them don't really matter that much. Click apply and close out of this menu. Once you've done that, find the starwars.kotor.ini, which should be in the same folder, right click on it, select open with, and select notepad to open up the ini file. From here, you will have a notepad file just like this. Scroll down in this notepad file until you reach the section known as graphics options. From here, scroll down until you see an area that says height and an area that says width. You are going to want to set this to the size of your monitor. Since I'm using a 1080p monitor, I'm going to set the height to 1080 and the width to 1920. Once I've done that, I'm going to click the file button and I'm going to save. Then close out of the notepad document. Now that I've done that, open up the folder that you're in again, so this is still the SW Kotor folder, and just kind of move it off to the side. Go to the description of this video and click on the link for the Star Wars Kotor executable. You'll download it and you will get a folder called FDX-SK13. Inside this folder, once you've extracted it using an archiving tool such as WinRAR or 7-zip, you will see swkotor.exe. What you just downloaded is an unencrypted version of the executable. So you're going to need this unencrypted executable in order to do the patch, so drag this, drop it into the SW-Kotor folder or wherever your game happens to be installed. If it asks you if you're going to replace it, go ahead and select the replace option. And this is basically just going to make it so that the patch will be able to work. Once you've done that, close out of this and you no longer need the FDX folder. Alright, next up, open up the description of the video one more time and go ahead and click on the link for Uni Widescreen. This will download a zip file for the Universal Widescreen program, which you're then going to need to drag to your desktop. Once it's on your desktop, use an archiving tool like 7-zip to extract the archive into a folder. Open this folder up and then click on uniws.exe. Once Universal Widescreen launches, you are going to get something that looks like this. From here, go to the drop-down menu and select Star Wars Kotor 1280 by 768. It doesn't matter what resolution you want in the end, this is the interface that you need to have selected for this patch to work. Once you've done that, you're going to need to find your Star Wars Kotor installation. You can click the Find It For Me button, but oftentimes it will detect the downloaded version in your recycle bin, the version that we downloaded earlier, so I would actually recommend just manually locating it. In my case, I have to go to D, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, SW Kotor. I'll put all of the different links somewhere up on the screen once again. So just select the SW Kotor folder once you find it. You need to select the folder, not the executable itself. And then you should get options here for a new resolution. You want this new resolution to match the one you entered earlier. Once we have the correct options installed, we have this selected and we have the correct interface selected, hit the patch button. If you were to launch the game right now, it would run in a widescreen resolution. However, as soon as you entered the world with your character, you would notice the user interface is kind of up in the corner of the screen in the original ratio we had it at before. And in order to fix this, we need to download a mod. Head on over to the link in the description of this video to the Widescreen gaming forum. This is the guide that we have been following here, and what you're going to want to do is scroll down on the page until you find the HUD correction section. From here, you're going to need to download whichever heads-up display matches your monitor. Once again, since we're doing 1920 by 1080, I'm just going to click on that. It will begin downloading the 1080p HUD, which we can then drag to our desktop. Okay, so we took the heads-up display to our desktop, extracted it using 7-zip, and now we can open it up. Inside here will be a bunch of different little TGA and GUI files. We're just going to basically take this, drag it over to the side, open up the folder for our Star Wars Kotor. So once again, this is where the executable is, and we're going to look for a folder called Override. If there is no folder called Override, create one. Open up the Override folder, take all of these HUD elements, so I'm just going to select all of them, right click, select copy, and paste. If it asks you if you'd like to replace any of the files, go ahead and hit yes. Now that we've done that, you can launch the game and it will run in the correct resolution. Assuming you followed my steps exactly, your game should look something like this. Anyways, thank you very much for watching my video. If you'd like to see more KOTOR related content, including mod guides, tutorials, and showcases, hit the subscribe button. As always, I do take some suggestions, so leave them in the comments below. Until next time, as always, I have been Zool, and I hope that you have an excellent day.